The Las Vegas Raiders are back at the top of the draft order for what seems like another year after a disappointing regular season. The quarterback play coming into the year we knew was going to be a big concern. It wasn't an area that they addressed in 2024, and it's come back to haunt them. And that's going to be an area I look to address in this 7 round mock draft. For those of you that are new around here, we are doing a 7 round mock draft for all 32 NFL teams in draft order. We started off with the Tennessee Titans, and we're on to the number 6 overall pick, which is owned by the Raiders. At the time of recording this, the Raiders still have not hired a new head coach. However, it's looking like Ben Johnson could be a potential play here, which would be very interesting to see. I'm going to be making trades, trying to get this Raiders team back on top, back into the playoffs where they haven't been in a few seasons. But if you guys are new to this channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Helps me out, lets me know you guys are enjoying the videos. You guys have been loving this series so far. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page where you guys will get full access to my draft guide. Over 400 prospect spotlights, evaluations, scouting reports, analytics, combine pro day numbers, all the measurables, everything you guys need to be successful this draft season. For only $5 a month, it is one of the best resources out on the market. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. And the last thing I want to say, I just want to thank all of you guys that reached out via Twitter, whether that be Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you guys reached out to me. If you guys don't know, I spent Wednesday night and most of Thursday in the emergency room, had a really bad sore that just kept getting bigger, could not walk. And you guys, your prayers, I'm here today, and I'm so thankful for everyone that reached out. It truly meant the world to me, and the Lord still does miracles, and I'm so grateful to be here. But let's go ahead and kick this off with the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, we're on the clock here at number 6. Now, to kind of fill you in, I'm not taking double players. I know in the last mock draft, Abdul Carter was on the board, and all Jags fans like, oh, you have to take Abdul Carter. I already took him at number 2 overall to the Browns. I took Travis Hunter at number 4 overall to the Patriots. So both of those guys are off the board, and we're kind of in an interesting spot. This is a Raiders team that I think has some pretty big needs in the receiving room and in the running back room. Those are 2 positions I'm heavily looking to draft here. I really think that quarterback could be addressed in round 2, round 3. Jalen Milroe maybe falls. We'll see what we end up doing there. Jackson Dart's a player people are starting to like. I'm really between 2 players here, and it's between Ashton Jeanty or Tetairoa McMillan. I think the running back depth is good enough to where I can justify passing on Jeanty. As electric as he would be in this offense, I'm going to pass on Ashton Jeanty, and I'm going to look at Tetairoa McMillan out of Arizona. 6'5", 205 pounds, absolute monster for the receiver position. He's just got incredible size and some of the best hands in this class. He caught just about everything that was thrown his way. He's got better speed than you would expect, made some plays after the catch, really physical wide receiver, can win deep, can win in the short to intermediate. Now, the big concerns with him, can he run elite routes? Is he going to be this elite route runner? I think he's decent, but I don't think he's an incredible separator. And that doesn't matter as much when you've got the catch radius and you got the hands that McMillan does, because he's an unbelievable athlete. He does struggle against press coverage, but at that size, you can't have Jacoby Myers be your wide receiver 1 going into next year. I feel better about the running back depth down the board than I do about the wide receiver depth. So Tetairoa McMillan, I think the Raiders are going to take him. He's going to be the first player off the board. You're going to pair him with Brock Bowers in this offense. I feel really excited about what the future could hold with those 2 guys as my main skill position. So I'm a big fan of McMillan. He's my number 1 receiver. He's my number 11 player in the class, and he's probably going to jump up higher after the Senior Bowl, and I do all my adjusting. I'm a huge fan of McMillan. He's going to be my pick here at number 6. All right, so I mentioned we would be doing trades, and it was because I had this in mind. We're going to move up in this draft. I really think that the Raiders are in such a desperate position for the quarterback. Gardner Minshew didn't end up working. He got hurt, came back, got hurt. Seemed like this dude was getting hurt and coming back seemingly every week. I can't have that again. I need some stability in my quarterback room, or I at least need a contingency plan. Aiden O'Connell showed some flashes. I don't know if I want him as my starter. Again, I need a contingency plan. I need a guy that I feel comfortable at building up to be my franchise quarterback. And I'm going to move up with the Houston Texans. They just ended up losing in the divisional round to the Chiefs last night. I'm going to move up. I'm going to give them number 37, number 73, and a fifth rounder in 2026 to move up in the second round back to get a second first round pick. So we moved it back up to 25, and I'm sure you guys see where I'm going with this. And I know this is going to be a controversial pick between Raiders fans, but I'm looking at Jalen Milroe here at number 25. First of all, I think the value is pretty good. Milroe, I think, has talent as a quarterback. I don't think there's any doubting that. Probably the best arm talent in this draft. He could throw the prettiest deep ball. He's got incredible athleticism. You can use him as a designed runner. You can get him out in space. One of the shiftiest, most powerful runners. He's got size. And there were moments this year for Alabama where he really showed the improvements in his processing. He showed the improvement at being able to read a defense. If he has a good week at the Senior Bowl, he's going to be a first-round pick. And you need to start thinking that way with Jalen Milroe. I think he is a little bit better than Anthony Richardson as a prospect, which might scare some people. But again, I'm not so sure he's going to start right out the gate. I just want to get this guy in my room to develop him because I think the upside with Milroe is higher than any quarterback in this draft class. He's only 21 years old. He's got an arm. He can run the football. His footwork's got to improve, but Tom Brady's an owner. I'm sure that they can figure some stuff out and get him in there. But the athleticism, the size, the arm strength, the ability to extend plays, the ability to elude pressure, he's a really good player, and I think he's going to go in the first round. The Raiders cannot afford to wait until the second round. Hope Jalen Milroe falls into their lap. So I'm going to trade up here to 25. He's going to be my quarterback of the future here, and I'm going to take him here at 25. On the board here at 68, interesting spot to be in here if you're the Raiders. I think there's a lot of potential moves that we could look to make here. Edge is a position I'm considering. Malcolm Kuntz, pending free agent, really good when he was on the field, dealt with injury. I think I'm going to wait on edge rusher a little bit. Safety is another position that I'm really looking at. Trayvon Merrick and Marcus Epps, both free agents this year. Very realistic chance they're both gone. But we took Kevin Winston in a previous mock, Sebastian Castro in a previous mock. Might be a little high for Latham Ransom for me. Jalen Reed, I think it's a bit high for him as well. So we'll see kind of how the board ends up falling. We'll see kind of where I'm thinking down the line. I got a player in mind that I think could be a good fit. Offensive line, I just don't love the offensive tackle guys right here. Belton, I think it's a little early. I think it's early for Chase Lunt. So where do I think we're going to go? And corner, we'll take a look. I don't think Thomas will be here. I don't think Porter will be here either. I'm going to go with the running back. And I know that's going to be controversial. We passed on a running back in the first round, but if there was a player in this draft that just screamed Raider to me, it's Arizona State running back Cam Skattebo. I know this is going to be a fan favorite pick, regardless of who I make this pick for, because he's one of the most exciting players in the country. And I think this is around the range I think he will go. He's 5'11", 215, one of the most unique builds for a running back prospect that I can remember. His contact balance is truly out of this world. He was unbelievable after contact this past season. 4.09 yards after contact per attempt, 1,202 yards after contact this season, 102 missed tackles forced. His numbers were really, really impressive. 5.8 yards per carry, one of the toughest players to tackle in all of football, to be completely honest with you. He's got good vision. He's got solid hands as a runner, which I think is really good. We saw what he did against Texas in the college football playoff. Long speed, maybe not the greatest blocker, has had some fumble issues, but this is a guy plays tough-nosed football. He puts his head down. He gets the job done. He fights for extra yardage. This team doesn't have a running back that I trust. Zamir White didn't end up working out. You brought in Amir Abdullah. He looked okay. He's a free agent as well. You're going to need to address into this running back room early. Cam Skattebo is the guy that I think makes a lot of sense. I think he could be an every down type of back for you because of his ability to just fight through tackles, get extra yards. So he's going to be my pick here. We're going to go offense, offense, offense with our first 3 picks and take Cam Scatterbo here at number 68. All right, the Jaguars called looking to move up in this draft, and I like the value that we're getting. We're going to move pick number 106 back to 124. We're going to get 141 back. There's a lot of needs that I want to address that I just don't really think we can right here. So I'm going to move back a few spots, get an extra 5th rounder in this deal, and try and make some moves happen. All right, sitting here at number 124 now. Think I got an action plan for how I want the rest of this draft to go. And I'm pretty excited about the way that I think this could look for you guys. So at number 100 and what are we at? 24. I want to go with an edge rusher. We mentioned Malcolm Kuntz being a free agent. He was really valuable as a pass rusher for this team this year. There's no doubt about it. This team is going to need to add another edge around this defense. Max Crosby's name has been mentioned in trade conversations. Tyree Wilson really hasn't developed. And if Malcolm Kuntz leaves, you kind of don't have that number 2 edge guy. I think this is a good spot to go get one, though. And a player I'm looking at that I think could be a real contributor for this team is Virginia Tech edge rusher Antoine Powell-Ryland. 6'3", 242. I think he shows a really good pass rush tool belt. He's got a number of pass rush moves that he put together, had good bend, was able to blend moves seamlessly and get to the quarterback. Elite bend, as mentioned. He is a pass rush type of player. Inconsistent in his stance, plays pretty high a lot of times. I didn't love his overall quickness and as a run defender, but I'm taking him to be a pass rusher. That's what this team needs. I want some more juice when rushing the passer. I think Antoine Powell-Ryland can be that. Had a monster season this year for the Hokies. I'm going to take him, and I'm just going to bet that he can become this elite number 2 edge. I think there's a great range for him. I'm going to take him here at 124. Here at number 141, I know it's going to be an interesting conversation here because you're going to look at where they're listed on the big board and think that I'm reaching on them, but it's not really a reach in my opinion. This is based off of my big board. Again, if you guys want access to that, it's available on my Patreon. But I'm looking to address the offensive line, and it's not like the biggest need in the world for the Raiders. I thought Delmar Glaze held up pretty good at right tackle as a rookie. Shout out my guy from Maryland. Left tackle Colton Miller dealt with injuries. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Andres Pete, he played, I believe, like 6% of the snaps. He's a free agent. A swing tackle could be a sneaky need for this team. And I think there's some good players on the board here that could be potential fillers. I also think corner could be a need. Jack Jones is a free agent after the next season. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I think you could look to address the secondary, which seems like that's been a question mark. And we mentioned the safety needs. Those are going to be my next 3 picks. I don't really know which order I want to go in. I think here with number 141, we got back-to-back picks here. I'm going to go with the corner out of Oregon, a player that I loved since the offseason that I think is getting undervalued, and that's going to be Jabbar Muhammad. He's my number 12 cornerback in this class. Now, again, the size is going to be an issue. He's 5'10", 183, but this is a guy that's got really quick feet. He's got really nice flexibility to play in both man coverage and zone. Good closing speed. I thought he showcased really good ball skills at times for both Washington and Oregon over the last couple of years. I thought his zone feel, though, was fantastic. Did a really good job of picking up guys over the top and making good high football IQ plays. Yes, he's undersized, not the greatest tackler, can occasionally be flat-footed, but this is a cornerback that I really like. Think he can play in the slot, think he can play on the boundary, gives you some versatility here. It could be a starting corner for you. This is a Raiders team that the secondary has never really felt like a strength over the last few years. I think Jabbar Muhammad could definitely give you a higher floor there. So he's going to be a pick here at number 141. All right, well, we were going to have back-to-back picks, but this deal I thought made so much sense for us. We're going to move back 15 spots in this draft. We're going to pick up another 6th rounder this year, and we're going to move a 6th rounder next year. So I love this for us, to be completely honest with you. I think this deal makes a lot of sense. I'm just trying to load up on as much capital this year as I possibly can. And I think that if the Chargers are willing to pay this price, which they were the ones that made it, I'm going to move back. So we're going to make this deal with the Chargers. All right, at 157, I know who I'm going to be taking here. I know I'm going to be looking on the offensive line. We mentioned the upcoming free agents. I think you could get a guy that could be a swing tackle, could be kind of that depth piece. A player that I really like and I think is undervalued in this draft class is Illinois' left tackle, a transfer from New Mexico. That's going to be J.C. Davis. Now, remember, it's based off my board, not so much this consensus board. I've got him as my number 18 tackle in the class, but a really good player. Fourth round grade on him. He's got impressive hand usage in the pass game. Countered pass rush moves really well. 6'5", 320 pounds, really strong anchor for the position. And I thought he was a strong run blocker as well. He does get a little bit grabby. He's not necessarily this elite athlete and one of these guys that is going to just move so well. He's a bit heavy on his feet at times, but I think he's a perfect swing tackle for you. He's got size. He can really hold his own against power. Does have to improve against speed a little bit, but I'm a huge fan of J.C. Davis. I've liked him since the summer. I think he's a player that can really be a difference maker. Whether is a starting left tackle for a long time or he is a rotational swing tackle, I think the value here is too good to pass on at 157. All right, another pick that we're going to be making here that it's going to be lower on the consensus board, but it's a player that honestly I have a lot higher than this. This is a player that, let me pull up where exactly I have him on the big board because I might be one of the highest people on this player. I have him as my number 120 overall prospect. So even I don't think he will be on the board here, but I think that based on kind of where the consensus sees him right now, the value is really good. And I'm going to be taking Maxon Hook, the safety out of Toledo. Toledo produced the best defensive back in the country last year in Quinyon Mitchell. I think they have another one in Maxon Hook, 6 foot, 205 pounds, incredible length for the safety position with really good range. He showed coverage instincts. He read the quarterback's eyes out of the backfield and zone coverage really well, is a super disciplined safety prospect that hits with a ton of power. He is a hard hitter. I do think he can be overly aggressive because of that hard-hitting nature, and his tackling technique is inconsistent. Might not be the fastest guy in the world, but he's just got incredible instincts, high football IQ, really good in zone coverage, had some ability to line up in man-to-man in certain instances. I love this guy. I think he is a legitimate number one safety at the next level. And like I said, he's my number 120 overall prospect in this class. I'm not even so sure he will be on the board here. The consensus isn't going to like this. Is probably going to get another D, maybe a C minus, but I think this is really good value for a guy that I think could start immediately for you, especially with your two free agents. Reminds me a little bit of Trayvon Merrick, if I'm being completely honest. I'm taking him here at 178. This draft is really turning into one of my favorite drafts. We're getting a lot of players I really like on both sides of the ball here. Linebacker is another interesting move for this team. Robert Spillane, free agent. You definitely are going to need to upgrade that spot. And I think you're going to need a guy that can show some range on both sides of the ball. A player there were two guys or three guys really that I had in mind. Teddy Buchanan out of the University of California, one of my favorite prospects, my number 13 linebacker in this class, 6'2", 235, really good size, thought he was a good blitzer, plays with his hair on fire, very physical, hits hard, not really the strongest guy, change of direction might be a little bit disappointing and had some missed tackles in there. I also really like, where is he? I also really like Nick Martin. Very different player than Teddy Buchanan. He's 6', 210, really undersized for the position. But again, one of these guys that when you use him as a blitzer, really good. And he looks bigger than he's listed, to be completely honest. Strong tackler, showed some solid technique there. I thought he had good speed, good overall athleticism, good block shedding. And I like that. He's just not great in coverage. I'm going to go with the guy that I think is probably the best all-around guy. And that's going to be the top guy here on the consensus board. And that's going to be Miami's Francisco Mauigoa. Really good player. Great run defender. Came downhill quickly. Understood his assignments. Knew how to crash the lanes. Good block shedding ability. Could be a good quarterback spy in a zone coverage role. solid athlete with some movement skills and could be used as a blitzer in coverage. Had some inconsistencies, but overall, I think is a good coverage linebacker. I really like him. I think he could be a starter. You drafted uh, Tommy Eichenberg last year. I think those two could play off of each other pretty nicely. So I'm going to take Maui Goa here to be my Robert Spillane replacement. All right, on the board here at number 212, I'm going to double down on receiver here. We got Tetairoa McMillan. I want to get a little bit more speed in my receiving room. Jakobi Meyers does only have 1 year left. Does worry me. Would like to get a little bit more consistency in this receiving room, if you will. So I'm looking at Elijah Badger, the receiver out of Florida. 6'2", 190. Is going to need to add on weight at the next level, but athletically, this guy has all the tools. Great burst off the line of scrimmage, and his open field speed is electric. We saw that at both Arizona State and Florida, both of his stops in his collegiate tenure. Could be used on gadget plays, screens, get him the ball on these little dump offs, and I thought he showed really good body control to adjust to the football. Not the most physical receiver, not a great blocker, has to add on weight, but I think he's a solid overall route runner, and he's got really good burners down the field. I'm not the highest on him in the world, but I think here at 212, the value is really good, and you do need another receiver here. So I'm going to take Elijah Badger here at this spot. We mentioned interior offensive line being a potential look down the board, and I mentioned the player I was looking at. Left guard Cody Whitehair is a free agent this year. I believe Dylan Parham is a free agent next year. You're going to need to upgrade this spot regardless, and a player that I do like quite a bit is Marcus Ware, the guard out of Montana State. 6'4", 300 pounds, has a Shrine Bowl invite. So going to be really interested, to see how he performs there. This is a guy that is incredibly physical and an incredibly aggressive blocker in space. He plays the position with some nastiness, which I love. Good pass protector. He's got good anchor. He's a player that's not moved very easily. Good hand placement and pass protection. As a run blocker, that's where I have more concerns about him. He felt out of control at times, didn't feel like he understood his assignments a lot. Would like to see that improve because he is a good athlete, but this is a guy that I think in pass protection, you could have a potential starting guard here in the 7th round. I'm a big fan of Marcus Ware. I think he can start at the next level. He's going to be my pick here at 216. With our final pick here at number 222, I'm just looking for some more depth on the interior of the defensive line. John Jenkins is a free agent this upcoming year. You're going to get Christian Wilkins back. That's a huge piece of this defense. I still think you could get some more depth in there. And I like Yaya Black. He got a Senior Bowl invite, 6'5", 306 pounds. I think he's got really good size there. Decent burst and quickness, and showed some good bull rush. I thought he did a good job of pushing the pocket, getting to the quarterback. He got good hands, and I thought he showed some pass rush upside. As a run defender, he's got to work on his play strength. Felt like he really struggled to get off blocks at times. Felt out of control, was pushed around a little bit too easily. I would like to see him improve in those areas, but I think the upside is there with him as a pass rusher. And in the 7th round, I think that's what you're looking for. So Yaya Black here, good pick here to kind of round out the draft for the Raiders. All right, so there we have it. There's my Las Vegas Raiders 7-round mock draft. This might be my favorite one we've done yet, to be completely honest with you. Tons of my guys in this class, whether that be Antoine Powell-Ryland, Jabbar Muhammad, J.C. Davis, Maxon Hook, Maui Goa. I thought these mid-rounds, absolute home run picks. But I'd love to hear from you guys, Raiders fans. What did you guys think? Did you like the mock draft? Did you think I reached on some of these guys? We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.